guys. My name is Abby Dahlkemper. I play on the U.S. Women's National Team, and I am currently playing on my club team, the North Carolina Courage. I'm so excited today to be joined by one of the nation's top sports psychologists, Dr. Jarrod Spencer. Dr. Spencer has trained many professional and collegiate athletes and advises several D1 programs. He's also the author of the book, Mind of the Athlete, which I have to get my hands on.
For
Dr.
sure.
Spencer, without further ado, hello.
Abby, thanks so much for that warm welcome. I appreciate it so much. So excited to be with you, and it's been a pleasure to follow you from afar and now to be with you doing this great time together with mental health.
Yeah. So I wrote a couple things down, and I'm going to get to the questions soon, but I just wanted to talk about kind of this really personal thing to me, and I think a lot of people right now, and a really important topic, which is mental health. The past 6 months have taken a real toll on mental health, heightened levels of stress, as we all know. I'm sure Dr. Spencer, you have felt as well. And worry have become part of our new normal, it seems. And if you're feeling this way, people that are on Instagram Live, just know that you're not alone. Optimum Nutrition actually just did a recent survey to get a sense of the wellness during this time. And they found that 2/3 of the Americans are more stressed than they were before this pandemic. And about half of us aren't feeling like our usual selves, which I can definitely attest to. And as athletes, it's not always easy to open up about mental health and stress. So I just want to thank Optimum Nutrition for giving us this platform to talk about it freely and openly. So without further ado, before we get started, I do want to kind of ask our audience and our following right now to submit questions. What are you struggling with? How are you prioritizing your mental health? So please share your questions for me and Dr. Spencer in the comment section below so we can answer them.
Sounds great.
So,
let's do this. Yeah.
Dr. Spencer, throughout my career, I've noticed that I am at my best when I am playing freely and not thinking so much, but just more so like in the zone and reacting.
Yeah.
Like, is there evidence to this? And can you kind of speak about that? And what's the impact stress can have on performance?
Oh, absolutely, Abby. And the message that I send again and again is clearer mind, better performance. The clearer a person's mind is, it's a lot easier to slip in the zone that you just described and to have that feeling of flow that really comes. And this is really relevant to stress, as you mentioned, because one study out of England actually showed that it was perception of effort that was the limiting factor when it came to when an athlete might give up and give in. When they were doing a timed exhaustion test, what point do they give up and give in? It was perception of effort. Now, what's interesting is that perception of effort was most impacted by mental fatigue. So, for example, if a student athlete actually had a hard day of classes, then had a practice, they might be more mentally fatigued. Their perception of effort would change, and consequently they would maybe give up and give in. So this is completely tied together, where stress does impact one's clearness of mind and consequently their performance.
Yeah, I feel like even from this year, I feel like all of us have been so stressed and maybe a little bit more heightened stress. And I feel like that translates directly on the field for me, like being, in my head a lot and not in the flow, like you said, or in that zone. So I think that it's like so important, obviously, physically to warm up, to stretch, but also like to mentally like warm yourself up and be ready to compete and, kind of have this clear mind.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Abby, right now during a pandemic, there's a lot of anxiety, which is really fear of the unknown, or depression, which is hurt held inward. And so as everyone's going through a tough time, clearly their minds are not going to be at the place that they ideally would have been pre-pandemic. So we've got to do more work to clear it out.
Yeah, definitely. This next question I have for you is, when I look back at the setbacks over the past 6 or 7 months,
Right.
the cancellation of the 2020 Olympics was one of the heaviest to deal with for me personally.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for the athletes and fans who are facing canceled season or events, and how can they clear their minds in the face of this adversity to prepare for the next season?
Well, the word really is catharsis, and catharsis means a freeing of repressed emotion. And as athletes, as the way we deal with negative emotion a lot of times is to suck it up, don't whine, don't complain, just push through, almost pretend like it doesn't bother us, and that's toughness. And what I'm saying is that's actually not. Real toughness is being able to emote, of course, properly and in the right context, but being able to express that repressed emotion. And quite frankly, I think this is really where mental health has really stepped into the forefront, and people are finally saying, yeah, let's give mental health its due. And so in sports psychology, for example, especially with a licensed psychologist, you can really connect and have a private one-on-one conversation where you can cry, you can vent, you can grieve. And I really think that freeing of emotion, that repressed emotion coming out, is very healthy for long-term success. Because you're either going to get it out now, or an athlete, a lot of times, it's really sad, can be stuck in a moment that they just never can get out of. And I think we all know people like that, who are just kind of stuck in that moment. So as best we can, really let's talk it out.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, hearing you answer that question, I think of, Dak Prescott, that recently just came out and, opened up about the
Right.
importance of mental health. And
Yeah.
I feel like, some may say that can be seen as vulnerable and weak, but I think, in reality, it really just shows his mental toughness and his strength, and, his ability to be vulnerable so people can see.
Abby, I love that you just kind of highlighted Dak and just really redefined toughness again for people to say, look, if Dak's coming out and saying this, that's toughness, not sucking it up. That's actually toughness.
Yeah. And I think too, like, another important thing is, obviously as athletes and, even when you're working out, you're always striving to train to get better. Where
Right.
I think that mentally, I think it's so important for you to, train your mind just as much as your physical ability.
Well, obviously, this, being at the highest level of your sport, that it's really more about the 6 inches between your ears as you get higher and higher in the levels. And so absolutely, quite frankly, if an athlete's not training the mind, then they're actually doing a disservice to themselves because their competitors are likely doing it.
Yeah, like, there is just such a minor difference between you and the next player, like you said, moving through, the levels that, it is going to take that little bit of an edge, and doing everything you can to, prepare yourself physically and mentally to be your best.
Absolutely.
So one last question I have for you. What about for someone who's not a traditional athlete but has maybe fallen off their fitness routine in recent months, or is looking to renew their focus in fitness and nutrition, or someone who may be staying with their diet and exercise program but is struggling because of external stressors?
Well, I think that first, and speaking candidly from my own personal experience, I feel like the times that I'm not really motivated to get after it, the truth is I'm probably struggling with a little depression, maybe a little anxiety, might be in a little bit of a funk, and I just don't really feel motivated. And I think in those situations, it's okay to go with that for a little while. But if it's persistent, then we really got to get after that, because obviously it is important to sweat every day. So I do think that the simple steps of just getting outside and walking, that's the first one. And so it may not be a hard workout, but it may just be like an introspective walk by yourself, maybe in nature, to kind of clear your head a little bit, really think things through. Sometimes we do our best thinking when we're out there walking. But even if a person isn't quite at that level and they're really struggling for the precursors of that, what I often say is the stages of change model include pre-contemplation, then contemplation, like, yeah, I'm really thinking about getting back to working out, but I'm not, but I'm thinking about it. And then the preparation is really the key phase, where it's like I'm researching, I'm looking at some YouTube videos, and then taking the action. And again, speaking candidly, during this pandemic, I reached a point where I was like, I'm just a little bored with my workouts and need a little something different. So I actually picked up yoga as a new hobby, and it's been fun. I contemplated it and then started researching, and it's been fun just to watch different instructors and learn from them. So really kind of maybe coming up with something fresh and new that you haven't done is another great way to get off the couch and really get back into that fitness routine.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually love yoga, so that's like awesome that you're doing it. Um, I think, for me, like cross training when I can is like really fun for me, because, it is easy to be like, wow, I have another day of practice, another day of practice. So layering in something new is like
Right.
so helpful for me. And I also think like it's important to kind of fall into a routine, whether it just be like, okay, well, I want to work out every day. How does that look? I can, walk one day. I can do yoga one day. So making sure that you, make time for yourself and be like, okay, this is going to be my workout slot. Whatever your workout slot may look like, it makes it easier for you to like have access to like actually do the action, like you were saying, not just think about it or look it up.
Abby, I love hearing your answer, and I actually want to flip the script now on you, and I want to start asking you some questions. I know the people that are watching this also want to hear from you. Like, let's kind of get into your bag of tricks and hear a little bit about what you do. So, for example, just one quick thing is, how do you clear your mind? What are some things that you tend to do?
Yeah, I think, being able to, for me, I think personally, being able to like fall back on preparation is really, really big for me. So, being, feeling like I'm ready and prepared is important. So, let's say if I make a mistake or I'm going into a game, I can be like, staying focused in the moment. I've done this before. Mistakes are going to happen, but it's okay.
Right.
It's kind of like how you respond to that, which is the most important. So, and I think, really trying to find the zone or like, that feeling of being like, I'm not really thinking too much and just being, and, like I said, mistakes are kind of inevitable, but it's like how you respond to adversity, which is like the most important thing, and which like can separate someone who's good and someone who's great. And it's definitely like taken a while for me to, realize that and to work on it. And so I think that that's really important. And I think, not even like in sports or like soccer in general, but like life is hard, and we've obviously realized that in 2020. So I think just being able to be adaptable.
Yeah, let's talk about that adaptability, and specifically like before a game. I know there's probably a lot of people that are listening, and maybe they or maybe even some young high school girls playing soccer again this fall, and they're like, hey, I'm a little nervous and I'm anxious before a game. Like, how do you stay grounded? How do you stay focused? What do you do like pre-game?
Yeah. Pregame, I like to really like keep it lighthearted and like enjoy myself and like just be free. So I think, being around my teammates is really important to me. Listening to music, having fun, physically preparing myself to where, mentally I can feel like clear and, ready to perform. So I think, just being like, this is not the end all be all, and being, a little lighthearted and like loose is when I'm at my best. When I'm thinking about messing up or thinking about making a mistake is when I'm going to make a mistake. So I think, just going into it with a positive mindset and, feeling loose and, prepared, but also relaxed at the same time, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, and I think you're spot on with what you're saying. It really does, the positive thinking and trying to stay relaxed. A big part of that, I have to imagine, though, for you in particular, really is kind of goes back to the fact that you appear to be very grounded, and humility is actually a big part of that. And so how do you stay so grounded and what a nice little puppy there. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
No worries. Too bad we can't see him. But how do you stay grounded? Maybe he wants to answer for you.
Yeah.
But how do you stay
Sure.
grounded?
Um, so I am so sorry. I'm gonna have to get my dog. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Go do your thing. It's it's kind of appropriate. We're talking about, interruptions and anxiety and stressors, and of course, even, being on the soccer field is a big deal. But, even just trying to do an Instagram live, there could be a monkey wrench thrown into things where you got to make adjustments on the fly. And
You gotta be adaptive. So
yes, you are.
you gotta be adaptive. So I am so sorry. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, we're just talking about how being grounded and being humble, amongst all
Yeah.
the fame and success you've had. How do you stay that way?
Yeah. I think that like it's really important for me to like never be satisfied. And I think that like me being like, okay, I want to get to like be the best player that I'm capable of being. And I think that that's like important to like always strive to get better. I feel like naturally I've always been like kind of grounded and, never like, I wouldn't say like cocky at all. Like if anything, I've had to like lean on my mom or my teammates to like help and support me and, instill that confidence in me. So I think, at the end of the day, like it's a good and it's a bad thing to like be like I'm not never satisfied, but at the same time, be my own biggest fan in a sense that like be easy on myself and cheer myself up and be like you are good enough. You've practiced, you've put in the work mentally and physically. So I think all that is just like really important and like helpful for me.
Yeah, I especially love the self-encouragement you talked about there. That's really valuable. And I can imagine that came out of a place of great suffering. And of course, I'd love to go to that topic that so many of your fans know a lot about. But you really struggled with a pretty significant medical condition and infection, and we've heard a lot about it from different angles. But I really kind of want to touch on the mental part of it. Can you tell us a little bit about what that must have been like for you? And maybe more importantly, what are some of the key life lessons that you've taken forward from a mental health perspective?
Yeah, it was such a humbling and like really scary incident that happened. And first and foremost, I was just kind of like thankful for my body and like
Yeah.
thankful for like my health. Obviously, like health is so important, and
Right.
like during this time, we're in a pandemic, so I think it's really important to be like, wow, I'm thankful for my body and everything it does, and I really want to put my health first, which I think everyone should be doing at this point. I also going through that injury, I was like scared almost. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be the same player as I was. So I had like doubts and worries and was like really nervous about that. So, and I think that that's kind of natural with like any injury as an athlete. You're never like sure if like you're going to come back the same or not. So I think, mentally you have to come back from an injury just as much as physically.
Yeah, I love what you said. 2 points there. One, again, about valuing your health. That's a big reason why you and I both value optimal nutrition so much and why we're doing this. And then the other part you mentioned was the attitude of gratitude, about being more grateful coming out of that experience. And of course, that does tie into what's happening for your season coming up next year, the games. And so my last question for you is, how are you balancing all of this uncertainty right now? And what does that look like for you as you try to project into the future here for next season?
Yeah, I love that question. I just wanted to like kind of like follow up on that, what you said. Like I love the word gratitude. I feel I was reading something somewhere and like it said gratitude like equals happiness. So I think it's so important to like find little things that like make you happy and make you something that you're grateful for, being like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm so thankful that I
Yeah.
woke up, feeling good. I got 7, 8, 9 hours of rest. Like, I'm thankful for this coffee in the morning. All these little things that add up to like being like, I'm okay, I'm good, and I'm happy with where I'm at.
I love that. I know you can see it obviously in your eyes, and you can feel from your heart. That's very genuine, and certainly coming out of something like you did, that gratitude is very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So returning to season obviously has been like really challenging this year.
Yeah.
There was like in the beginning of the year, I was with the national team a lot. We were like in camp more than we were out of camp.
Right.
And like it was really, physically and like mentally taxing because we were getting ready for the Olympics, which,
Right.
in hindsight, we didn't know that it like wasn't happening. But so then I kind of had like a little bit of a break, and then we like started up again with the North Carolina Courage, my end of resell team. So it's been really hard to like mentally stay in it, and I feel like I definitely experienced like a little bit of like not a lot of confidence, and I think that definitely has to do with the times that we're having right now and the uncertainty of the world and the pandemic and everything involved in that. I'm sure, you're feeling the effects at work as well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like you said, confidence is one of those things I think all of us are really kind of experiencing. And one reason is confidence is really a byproduct of positive experiences. I mean, if you just haven't played as many games lately, it's hard to be very confident if you really haven't had that positive experience. And so confidence is something that as a sports psychologist, I'm seeing a lot of athletes struggle with a little bit right now as they seek to try to get positive experiences, but there's just not a lot of opportunities for that. So I guess we just have to go back to that attitude of gratitude and be grateful for what we have in front of us right now, whatever that opportunity might be, because nobody really knows. As I said earlier, anxiety is fear of the unknown. We don't know what the future is going to bring. I do know what the future is going to bring, though, for this Instagram Live. We're actually going to be shifting gears now to taking some questions. We've got a few minutes here at the end, so I want to turn it over to you, and let's take some questions.
Yeah, so there was some really good questions. Let's see. So the first question I have is, I guess this is for me, have you been training more or less since COVID started, and have been taking time to examine what you've been thinking about soccer lately? You know what? I feel like I've been training the same, like we were in quarantine, but we, had individual trainings and, pair trainings. And I think, I've been training the same amount, just different types of trainings. And, again, I feel like I've said this word, but like being adaptable during this time has like really been so important. So I've definitely been training a lot, but it just looks different. So when we got back to like team training, it was like a little bit of like a foreign feeling because I was like, whoa, I can like be around these people, these teammates. Obviously, we all got tested, and we get tested frequently.
Yeah, there's that adaptability again, that mental flexibility, and I love that. It's clearly one of your skill sets.
Yeah. How does your support system help you get to a good place mentally? I think, and Dr. Spencer, you can touch on this too, but I feel like, as I've gotten older, I've really realized the people, that mean the most to me. There are like kind of a few amount, just because I feel like I, spend my time, it's kind of like quality over quantity, you know what I mean? So my people really, really know me, and I think, they know when I'm down, or they know you need a boost of confidence, and I think that that's so important. So I think that just leaning on people that know me the best and that feel, that I feel the closest to, is really important. And I'm like so blessed to have, a great coach, great teammates, my family, my boyfriend all support me so much.
Isn't it really key, Abby, that, that support system, and it's really about the emotional support, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's also about the people that love you and accept you unconditionally for who we are as individuals, as people, not who we are publicly and that persona. That's one part of what we all do, but that support system with that base, it's like, you're annoying, you're an idiot, you're goofy and dorky at times, but we still love you anyway, and we can speak candidly into your life. And so I think for everybody, this pandemic has been a great opportunity to kind of redefine that base for who's really for us and who's really not just for us and what we do, but really for us emotionally. And that's really the essence of support.
And like truly want, the best for each other.
Right?
And I think that that's important too. I think the people that you're closest with and trust, I think trust is a huge thing.
Huge.
To be able to, fully be vulnerable with someone. So, Dr. Spencer, I have a question for you. Someone asked, I would like to do what you do as a profession. How many years did it take you to go to college, and what is your favorite thing about the profession?
Great question. Okay, so if you want to be a doctoral level licensed psychologist, for me it was 13 years. So it's 4 years college, 2 years of a master's, 3 years of a doctorate, 1 year of a clinical internship, pre-doc, and then post-doc was 3 more years, licensed, then able to be on my own. So if you want, there's actually a YouTube video called So You Want to Be a Sports Psychologist. And so that video is something I created for people to get more specific information about this path. What I like about the most, I really love helping people make their dreams come true. And oftentimes it's that mental part that I really haven't developed that yet and taken a deep dive. And I love being that individual that can really help people with that last part and then see them thrive and receive theirs. And that's one of the greatest joys I get from this.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just kind of got chills being like, oh my gosh, seeing people achieve their dreams and, shoot for the stars and
right.
I think is so important. And I think, about one of my childhood dreams was to win a World Cup and to feel you've achieved that, whether it even be a small goal, wanting to get back into shape or anything, it just feels so good. And it feels weight off your shoulders being wow, I am so proud of myself and can do that,
Yeah, that's a huge thing that I think we all love, and so it's awesome.
So, okay, we have time for one more question, and this is for both of us. The question is, what does a team dynamic do for mental health? Is it important to have that group support? And how can we find it during pandemic time? That's a really good question. Do you want to take it first?
Sure, I'll take it first. And I would say the word emotional intimacy, that really what bonds people together is suffering. And when people kind of tip their cards, that's what's great about teams. You bleed together, you experience pain together, you cry together, you train together. And then obviously in the pandemic, lots of teams are doing things via Zoom. But the more we can emotionally connect our hearts with one another, and we could just share our vulnerabilities, our weaknesses, our fears, our concerns, I think that's what brings emotional intimacy. And I think now more than ever during the pandemic, while we might not be able to have the same kind of physical training, we really can do a lot to emotionally bond. And that's the key to team unity, I believe, is emotional intimacy.
Yeah, that's literally nailed it on the head. I know I can speak, on behalf of the women's national team and my club team. We've really connected through this time, and I think being able to be vulnerable with each other and to like you said, experience suffering and adversity and really hard times together, but know that we're all in it together and have each other's back is so important.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Spencer, thank you so much. That's all the time we have today, but I just want to encourage you to continue to talk about mental health. I want to thank Optimum Nutrition for giving us this platform to talk about it and be vulnerable and express how we feel and know that, it's okay. And, I think that I hope you feel empowered and resilient in discussing your mental health. And Dr. Spencer, thank you again so much.
Yes, truly pleasure. Thank you, Optimum Nutrition. Thank you, Abby. Really appreciate our time together. Thank you to the viewers who value mental health. I hope all of what we talked about can help you to have a clearer mind and better performances along your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much. So tomorrow's going to be a really exciting day too, as we're covering all things fitness. Two of my favorite fitness gurus, Karina and Alex, are going to be taking you through a bodyweight workout that you can do literally anywhere. So that starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on Optimum Nutrition Live on their Instagram page, or you can check out the full schedule on Optimum Nutrition's Instagram feed or optimumnutrition.com/BTB Live. So thank you so much, Dr. Spencer, again, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Our pleasure. All the best, everyone.
Bye.